Hello, all. Very good morning to all of you. Welcome to the session of Advanced Drug Safety Program and Career Development in Pharmacovigilance Industry. I hope before I start, I just like to say that I hope you all are doing good and your family members. I pray to the God that all of you are okay because this pandemic situation is actually getting so much pandemic nowadays, and it's getting more and more. So please take care of your family and yourself. Be safe, be healthy. Uh, so I think now it's a good time to start this session. So first of all, I would like to welcome all of you to this online session of Advanced Drug Safety Program and Career Development in Pharmacovigilance Industry.
Thank you, sir.
Uh, so before I go ahead, I have a small request to all of you. So this session will go around 30 to 40 minutes or so. You may come up with some questions. If it is really urgent, you can interrupt me and ask me. If it is not, then I will take some pause in between and you can ask me, or you can park your question one side, and then at the end I will give you enough time to ask the questions related to this topic, course modules, about the career, about other things, whatever the best I can answer for you. So that would be great so that we all can be more attentive during this entire session and grab as much as information as we can. Secondly, I would request all of you to keep your mobiles and other distraction things apart from you, just on the other side, so that it would not disturb your attention. And this will help you to grab more and more things. Okay. Uh, so I am Dev Prakash, and I'm going to be instructor on this entire course. Rest of the information about myself you will come to see in one of the slide. So we will go with some flow. I'll let you know after this what is going to be the agenda of entire presentation. But before that I start, I would like to take your attention on this topic. So this topic or this entire course is actually not just a pharmacovigilance or safety drug safety program. You can see that this topic is actually divided with two topics. So we are pushing all of our students not only for learning PV but also to make the best career in the PV. So we will also discuss a lot of career opportunities and other things during this entire course, and that's why we kept this name so that you can have a glimpse of it, that it is not just a certification program but it is more than that. Okay, so let's start with the course. So the entire presentation is actually divided into few phases. Okay, we will go by this phase. We will first check a brief about the pharmacovigilance. Okay, so we will see that where you guys are standing, and I can provide you a brief about pharmacovigilance, like definition of goals and other things. And then we can understand that why PV or post-marketing surveillance (PMS), okay, that is coming so much fast instead of clinical trial going on in parallel. So why PV is coming in so much fast pace? This is the another thing we have to know. Once we know this thing, then it is good time to go in detail, in depth, to see that what are the other things like PV's life cycle, what are the things to report, what are the partners, different PV departments. And after that, most important for you, that is career related discussion, that why you want to come in this particular course, or you want to make your career in this domain. That I'm going to discuss with you. And after that, I will showcase you that what is there in this Pandora box, that is with our course module, how we are going to take you through all these modules in the next few months or next few classes. What is going to be the roadmap of entire course, plus a brief introduction about myself, that who I am, so that you can be more interested that this is my tutor. And after that, we'll also discuss some job opportunity part. Okay, and then a brief summary. So this is how the entire presentation will flow. Great. So I think now it's good time to start with our first topic, that is what is pharmacovigilance and what is its need, why it's so much needed nowadays. Pharmacovigilance in general, if I say very much in general, okay, for any layman person, it is basically pharmacon plus vigilance. That is drug and to keep watch. We are keeping watch, we are keeping eye on the drug. Okay. Clinical trial is really important, we understand, but there are some limitations, some restrictions in the clinical trial because of which we have no much idea about the drug. Like, after a certain limit, we have no idea that how the drug will behave further. So we have to keep an eye on this particular drug. So basically, pharmacon plus vigilance is to keep watch on the drug. That is very much layman term definition or an idea about the pharmacovigilance. But yes, if I go with the technical definition that is from the WHO, it is basically the science and activities or actions which is related to the detection, assessment, understanding, and prevention of the adverse effects of or any other drug related problem. Very simple. Whatever the actions, whatever the activities we are doing to detect, then assessment, that is analyzation, taking decisions, understanding in depth, okay, doing causality assessments, and finally why we are doing all this thing to prevent such type of adverse effects, adverse drug reactions to occur in the future which are related to drug, device, biologicals. So this is what all in all called as pharmacovigilance. Okay, so technical definition we have seen, general definition we have seen. We can also see in depth in this next slide that if we break this entire definition into pieces, so this is PV. What we are doing in PV is starting from this blue color box, that is a collection of e-reports. We are doing a collection of the adverse event reports. Before I go ahead, I would like to also speak up a few words about the adverse drug reaction or adverse event, okay? Because maybe some of you are very much new to the PV. So adverse drug reactions, adverse experience, if you just go in general, okay, to understand, this is nothing but any type of positive or negative effect what your body is getting after taking the medication is called as adverse experience. Okay, it can be positive, like after a drug you feel high, you feel very much lighter in mood, okay, or after taking drug your stomach pain, your stomach ache, anything happened, it can be positive, negative. That's why I'm not using the side effect term, okay, just to show the negative. So anything happens after taking drug is basically adverse experience, adverse effect. Okay, so we are basically in PV collect those type of experience, those type of reports, and then finally we analyze these reports, we understand this report. Okay, we do assessment, medical assessment, we do different types of assessments, okay, listedness, labelness check. Okay, so all this type of assessment when we do at the final level, doing the causality assessment, okay, we are finally taking some decisions, that is that really adverse experience or is that a known adverse experience, unknown adverse experience, a lot of decisions we need to take. During that whole time we will also do the booking part, that is the case information into the database. And while doing this thing we use certain dictionaries, okay, like medra, who art, various dictionaries. That is the medical coding of these we are doing. Okay, and why we are doing all this thing, we finally communicate this information to the general public also, and mainly to the regulatory body, so that whatever the action is required, that can be taken asap, as soon as possible. Okay, and finally the important aim of PV, which is important part of PV, is to educate and training to public and HCP. So if I just say in general, PV is also known as the drug safety and is one of the most essential function of PV industry. And basically, it concerned with the safety and efficacy of therapeutic drugs, biologics, devices, or deals with the surveillance of adverse effects which is caused by. Okay, so basic focus of PV, all in all, is drug safety. Okay. So this is what we know about the PV. Now, certain goals are there of the PV or aims of PV, we can say that why PV is there. We know some of the things from here, but basically what we are doing is we are Collecting those reports, collecting those adverse events, we are detecting those adverse effects. Okay, finally, we are analyzing those adverse effects. Okay, we are going with certain scales, causality assessment scales, listedness, expectedness. There are a lot of terms by which we are understanding the A in depth, so that we can classify it correctly and take it in the database in the correct manner. There's the prioritization of the cases. Okay, once we are doing all this thing, we are actually doing a booking of cases, that is feeding the information in the database. So this is entirely a separate chapter which will go for a few days when we are doing our course. And then the medical coding of age, doing with certain dictionaries. We are coding the age. Okay, like Metra, WHO, are various dictionaries are there. We will learn about those dictionaries also. Very important part of PV. And why we are doing all this thing? We need to finally communicate this information to the regulatory authority and to the general public too, so that the timely action can be taken to prevent any hazard in future. Okay, and why we are doing all this thing? Basically, we are also on the other side educating the public, people, or patients, HCPs, and we are training them to report more and more of this adverse experience, so that we can know about our drug profile good and good, and we can take the right timely actions. This is in general about the PV, and as I just mentioned, that it is one of the most essential part nowadays, because nowadays drug safety has become more and more important. If I just take a simple example, which is just now came in my mind, that is related to the COVID-19 vaccines. We have seen so many vaccines. Now just go back in the month of December, right? The time when the vaccines are about to come, November or December 2020. Okay, at that time, how many of you or your family members were very much ready to take the vaccine? I don't think so much, many of them. Because still we have seen every day the news that many of the vaccines actually get wasted in last few months. Reason being that we are also not that much satisfied that these are really working for us, or if they are going to cause some side effects, how safer are this vaccine? So these all the things why you are not so much trusted. Even the company passed all the clinical trials. Reason being that we have not much we have do not have that much trust, because the drug or the vaccine has not proved its efficacy or safety in last 1, 2, 3 years. That's why we cannot trust the vaccines right away. And how you come to know about the safety? This is because of pharmacovigilance. Now you can correlate the entire practical thing. This is because of pharmacovigilance. So with the help of pharmacovigilance, we come to know that in the UK, Pfizer medication did this many cases. This problem came over with the AstraZeneca vaccine. These many cases came with the clotting or other things. This is all come from the pharmacovigilance, not from the clinical trial. Because once a drug is out in the market, then clinical trial is nothing to do with it. It is clinical trial phase 4, or called as pharmacovigilance or PMS. And then only it becomes the people start trusting the vaccines or the medication, because when they start getting more and more safer reports, the profile of the drug is towards the benefit side more and more instead of riskier side. So this is basically the PV. If I go with the ultimate goal of PV, with all this discussion, I can say that basically we are with the PV, we are re-evaluating on defined timelines its risk benefit profile or the balance. Okay, because in the beginning when your drug came up in the market, okay, we the people are very much anxious to know that is this drug very much safer. And even after 2 years, we want to know that are we taking the right medication. But with the help of pharmacovigilance, we can see the good data, that is the risk benefit profile is towards the beneficial side more. So it is safer to take. So this is one of the important goals. Another common but important goal is to improve the public health and safety related to these drugs, vaccines, biologicals. Plus, another thing is with the help of PV, we can do the early detection of the unknown ADRs, which we have no idea from the clinical trial also. So those unknown ADRs we can detect. We can also detect the increase in the frequency of known ADRs. So some ADRs we know from the clinical trial, but with a certain frequency. that we can know more better and better during the PV, that is during the clinical phase 4 when it is coming in the market directly. So we know the change in frequency. We know some known ADRs, but their frequency change, it is a completely new information in the PV terms. Okay, so what are all these things? These are basically risk factors. So finally, at the risk management level, we are also doing the identification of risk factors. Okay, we are going to manage those risks, and we are going to communicate this risk and benefit to the authority so that the timely action can be taken. We are also communicating through the package leaflet, through the summary of product characteristic type of document to the doctors also. And at the last, the education and information to the patients, consumers, public, regulatory body, it is the important job or a goal of PV. So now I hope you have a kind of a good idea about the PV in your mind, that what is pharmacovigilance, how it is a bit different than the clinical trial. Okay. Now, if I ask you that, can you guess that why PMS, or why pharmacovigilance or clinical phase 4 is even required more than clinical trial? We did a successful clinical trial, but why PV is so much important? Why it is required? So before going to this difference, why not we just see some problematic factor? Okay, then I will compare. So lack of PV system, the topic I have just put to grab your attention. So lack of PV system, what can be the consequences? Okay, so this thing, let's take it 5 or 10 years back, when the PV was actually at the very, very niche stage, or you can say like infant stage. Okay, so what was the problem at that time? The companies, why they were not so much attentive on this thing, and why they are now. So if I just go with a small graph of from the US, you can say that almost millions of dollars, 15 to 16% of their sales, the companies are putting in the research, clinical trial. Okay, considering that they are going to get some new brand medications, because of which with a long patent term they can earn good amount of money afterwards. That is correct. And because of which they started putting a lot of amount in it. But I'm not talking now, right now, just go 10 or 20 years back. But at the same time, this companies are also not paying much attention on the pharmacovigilance, which is an emerging branch. Okay, only a small percentage of their sales, or an entire revenue, they are actually putting it up in the this pharmacovigilance sector, because of which they really lost a lot of their drugs, or recalls or withdrawals happen. If you see in the past, in the 2000 to 2010, lot of big companies brand products, okay, which get revoked after coming into the market within the couple of years, 2 to 3 years. The reason was lack of PV, which these companies really come to know, but after so much of loss of the brand names. If you ask me the company, I can even name big companies, Merck, TSK, this type of companies. And there are a lot of companies who really come to know that PV is very much important. Even now it's becoming important than clinical trial, because that is only going to make your product trustful or worthy in the patient population who is going to take it when it comes into the market. In the similar way, if I just take it to the other side of that graph, you can see that the adverse effects, because of which the recalls and the withdrawals of the drug were there earlier, not much. Now it is becoming more and more, even especially the notices is going more. Why? Because the PV is getting more and more coming up. We are getting the product, we know the product as much as possible within a couple of years, as soon as it comes into the market. And as there is change in the benefit risk profile happens, okay, toward riskier side, authorities started sending you notices that, boss, you have to take some risk management plan actively on your drug, or maybe within a year your drug need to be withdrawn from the market. And this actually saving, this is not a only red notice, this is actually saving their product to get out of the market, because they are taking fast action on their drugs risk benefit profile so that this can be towards the beneficial side. So that's why, I'm just saying that the lack of PV is really hazardous for the companies, and that's why now they started pouring a good amount of money. You can see this data from the global market of PV. It's like in 2018 the market value of PV was 4.3 billion, which is going to be with a CAGR of 10.7% in the 2025, $8.9 billion, and it is going to be more than that. It is the expectation, but the rate at which PV is really growing is not with this rate. It is more than that. Okay, in the US market, if I just say and show you the this product life cycle PV, which is happening not only at the clinical phase 4 or PMS, but also at the clinical trial. Okay, I will show you that how it is also happening at the clinical trial level. Okay, so if I just go with that, you can see the big blue bars is basically from the phase 4, that is the PMS studies, post marketing surveillance part. Okay, so this is to show you that most of the PV is actually happening after the clinical trial. Okay, when the drug really comes into the market. So the most of the money which the company is spending is after the clinical trial in the pharmacovigilance. Now, the most awaited part, which we have just discussed and you guys answered really well on most of the topics. We will just go with the point to point on all these topics. So why we are not that much trustful with the drug when it comes from the just from the clinical trial? Why we are waiting for next few years to see the drug's correct profile, and why TV is coming in so much important way in our life? The reason being that in the clinical trial there was only limited safety data. We have very much limited safety data because of narrow indications, the minimum indications of the drug which we have in the market. When it comes into the open market, that is post market, people is not using the medication only for one purpose. Okay, they are using it's like a off label use and other uses, because of which we come to know about the drug profile far better also. Okay, there are so many good examples which I can take, the drug came for X particular indication, and after that it really showed some good effects at the YZ or other type of indication. There are limited subjects. Okay, limited subjects which because of which the clinical trial in that we have more to more what 10,000, 20,000, maximum 50,000 on this much of population you can test your drug. But when it comes to the post market, in the open market at the global level, it's crores of people who are going to take your drug or vaccine. Okay, so you come to know more about the drug when it comes into the post marketing part. Then similar way, the narrow population is there in the clinical trial. We know that always there are some restrictions in the clinical trial that okay, you don't need to, you cannot use the drug in the elderly population or children's or the pregnant women's. But when it is in the post market, definitely doctor restrict this thing as per the SMPC or package leaflet. But do you think that really our grandparents' children, they are not taking this medication? Yes, they are taking, and because of which we come to know about more adverse effect about its benefit risk profile more and more. So the restriction on the population is actually getting very much out of the focus when it comes into the open market. Similar way, the short duration is another problem with the clinical trial. More to more, how much the clinical trial duration can go? 6 years, 10 years, 12 years. Okay, but during this time, it is hard to know the entire drug profile with the limited population or narrow population. When it comes into the open market, okay, the maybe it is a diabetic or blood pressure medication, you're going to take this medication for next 10, 20 years. Okay, maybe after 20 years, because of the retention of this drug in your body, okay, you or big half life, you may come to know about some adverse effect after 10, 20 years. Okay, this can be a chance. The short duration is another limiting factor. Unidentified rare ADRs, I think this is the COVID vaccines are one of the very good examples. In clinical trial, maybe they have not identified some of the errors, some of these adverse drug reactions. But as soon as it comes into the post market, okay, they come to know about this drug reaction very much, that okay, there is some clotting, there are some other issues are there. So this really this is really important factor. When your drug comes out in the market, you come to know about very rare of rarest ADRs, which we have no information during the clinical trials. The drug interaction, food drug interaction is another very important factor, okay, in the clinical trial. When the patient is coming in the limited number with the limited scenarios, you can, that is, you can just give your medication, you know that maybe the patient is taking one or the two medications, but this is also limited to what, 10,000 population on which you have trial your drug. But when it comes into the post market, crores of people are using. Maybe you also don't know that what else, what other types of drug, Ayurvedic drug or homeopathic drug or whatever other allopathic drugs they are using, against which there can be some other drug interactions. And similar like that, there can be drug and food interactions can happen. Okay, you have never tested in clinical trial those many type of foods, and if there is any food drug interaction is there or not, but that can happen in the post market. So in the post market, when the drug comes in the open population, okay, without any restrictions like clinical trials, okay, so there can be so many factors which, which actually get out of focus. The barriers get out of focus. We are just openly taking the medication, and we come to know about more and more adverse effects and with this drug after the, once it comes into the market, that is post marketing. And that's why this is these are all the factors which is making PV so much important, even important than clinical trials nowadays. And that's why companies are pouring money like hell in this particular branch. Okay, pharmacovigilance, they are really pouring the money without any further barriers that okay, they need to put or they don't need to put, they have to put, because there are so many new regulations are coming, because of all these new adverse effects are coming after the drug comes into the market. So this is all the difference I can tell you, PMS versus the clinical trial, that why there are so many limitations in the clinical trial, because of which the pharmacovigilance is getting more and more good. Okay, now I'm going deep down in the pharmacovigilance part. Okay, we will just go let's take a dive into the PV. We will know some more aspects, because now we have known difference between this clinical trial and the PV. We know basic about the PV. Now it's a time to go further deep down. Okay, so uh, on this entire slide, before coming to this slide, this entire picture, I have a question for you. You can even see this slide and tell me, no issues. Tell me that pharmacovigilance, from which stage it starts? Phase, clinical phase 4, that is, you can see in the picture, or before that, from which phase this PV start? Any one of you, just make a wild guess. My question is, this pharmacovigilance, if I just want to see the drug life cycle and I want to pick up the PV life cycle, from which stage the pharmacovigilance starts? Is it from the discovery stage, animal testing stage, clinical trial stage, or during the filing of the product for that is product application for marketing application at that stage, or after that, that is clinical phase 4 when it start, that is PMS start at that stage? When we start the PV?
Sir, it will start with first stage, sir. Why? Because we have taken each and every patient document detail from starting stage to final stage, from phase 1 to phase 4. You have to take detailment of each and every action, how is working.
So you mean to say that starts with the human clinical trial phase, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, anybody else has any other guess or answer?
So like after preclinical trials, like once the clinical trials which is started on the like few population only, this pharmacovigilance will start. We can collect the data from like each people, like what are the adverse reactions which is happening in them.
So you mean to say that clinical phase 3, right?
Like yes sir, like when it started on human thing, then there
So
itself
it
it
starts
started.
in human from the phase 1. So you mean to say from the human trial when it starts, like what other person just mentioned? Is the same answer?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, great. Lata has already typed answer. That is from beginning. We put a close monitor, but from beginning, Lata, it is that from the human trials or drug discovery. It's that's or Santosh have answered fourth stage. That is PMS. Okay. Anybody else has any other wild guess? No. All right. So, guys, you have answered it correctly. That is from the human clinical trial when it starts. Okay. That is yes, yes, Reshma. After PMS, that is okay, but partial correct answer. So let me answer it over here. So you can see this is the entire drug life cycle is available in front of you. That is from preclinical phase to the clinical phase to the post-clinical phase. That is drug marketing phase. Okay. So if I want to show you something, you can see that new medication that is preclinical phase. Basically, it is in the either with the computer we are like doing the discovery part, or with the animal testing we are doing something. That is still this drug is actually not came into the human body. Okay, so as soon as the drug comes into the clinical trial, that is after your IND application approved. Okay, there is it at the same time your PVA cycle starts for the pre-marketing product. Okay, there are different timelines, there are different types of aggregate reports. All these things are different compared to the post marketing, but the question is it start? So answer is yes, it start with the human clinical trial phase 1 itself, when as soon as you get the approval for IND application to start testing into the human. Okay, then it goes till entire time of the clinical trial phase 3A 3B, all this thing. And during the post market, during this market application stage, at that time also we have to prepare our risk management plan, pharmacovigilance plan, safety specification. There are a lot of PV related documentation which you need to prepare and attach along with your marketing application, and then only your product can be considered for for consideration that if it can go into the market or not. That is like a prerequisite. And once you got the approval, once you come on this side, that is the small circle of in the blue, you can see the PV cycle. This is a complete pure PV time. That is so many of different types of reports you have to create, so many different types of process or departments get active right away for your drug doing the pharmacovigilance. That is called as post marketing pharmacovigilance. Now, in this big blue circle, you can see in the clinical trial, okay, you can see that there are some yellow color, this ribbons are there in which there are a lot of clinical trial related documentations are written, like investigators brochure, clinical study protocol. These are all the clinical trial, and I'm not going into those things. But the fourth ribbon, you can see that says DSUR, Development Safety Update Report. So this is basically the pharmacovigilance aggregate report document. This is nothing to do with the clinical trial. This is a PV aggregate document. Similar like that, there are ICSRs, individual case safety reports, which we used to do during the clinical trial at the same time. Okay, so this is just to show you that there is a clear evidence in front of you which is showing that PV not only start after the post, that is after your market application get granted, but it actually start as soon as you got the IND application approved. So and one more thing, it goes till the end of the life of a drug. You can see that the arrow at the end is just showing in one direction. There is no barrier at the end, because the PV is not like clinical trial for 5, 6, 7 years. Your project is going to be done. Okay, uh, fruitful, not fruitful, doesn't matter like that. The answer is PV goes till the end of life. You need to keep watch on that drug. You need to prepare those reports on timely basis. You need to do the individual case safety reporting. So that's how it will go on and on. Okay, so this is just to show you that the PV life cycle is not like clinical trial or other type of life cycle that you can have your limited career in one or related to even one drug. So till the drug is there, generic or brand medication, any medication, you have to do the pharmacovigilance for it. You have to make sure that you are keeping eye on that drug. Okay. Now, another thing, the partners or stakeholders in pharmacovigilance. So this is not an in silo department so the partners and stakeholders in pharmacovigilance. So this is not an in silo department like the other type of pharma departments or medical departments, which is just doing some work and related to one or the two stakeholders. Over here, we have multiple stakeholders who are impacting our work day in, day out. Okay, there are government regulations they are creating, okay, related to PV, that is impacting regulatory authority, very much important. Okay, we have to really deal every day with the authority. The pharmaceutical industry, the answer to the Srija's question is basically PV industry, the company who has the marketing application to run that drug, to sell that drug, is actually liable to do the pharmacovigilance of the drug and make sure that for all the individual safety reports need to be provided to the authority, or aggregate reports which is provided in time to time basis, or risk management plans which is created for any specific drug. All this thing need to be maintained by the manufacturer only, who is having the marketing authorization application. So that lies on their shoulder to do the PV, because PV is actually requiring money to do all this thing, right? And that's why we all are here. Okay, so it is the marketing authorization application's responsibility to do the PV, and that's why it is one of the important stakeholder in doing the pharmacovigilance. Okay, and hospitals, academias, that is the medical colleges, all these are very important part. How they are also the part zonal, divisions are there at different levels. Like in the AIMS, we have some PV centers who are also taking note of the cases from the hospitals, from the medical colleges patients, and then they are also reporting to the companies, to the authorities directly. So they are also playing very important part. And then pharmaceutical associations. Then there are medical information centers, the HCPs, the patients. They are very important, because without that we cannot have the cases, the experience. Media, very much important, playing the role in doing the PV. Some international authorities like WHO, UMC, that is Uppsala Monitoring Center, who is actually doing at the world level, taking care of the PV. That's how we are getting reports of the COVID around the world. Okay, what action need to be taken? ICH providing many guidelines by which we need to do the PV, the international. SIOMS, another important organization at the world level. So there are a lot of organizations, lot of parties which really plays an important role in doing the pharmacovigilance. Okay. Now, Shrija, I hope I answered your question. If not, please feel free to ask me.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, guys. So now, time to know that what to report and how to report. If I ask you this question, definitely you guys will answer. I trust you guys because I have seen your knowledge. But the thing is, you may answer one or the two things. My answer is everything is reportable after taking the drug. That is good or bad experience you have. If whatever the indication it is there, if you are getting relieved with it, it is not experience, it is just related to the indication. That is, you take the stomach medication for stomach pain, and you get relief with the pain, that is okay, it's not an adverse event. But in that case, if you started having a tingling in fingers, right, that is not an indication, and you have some kind of bad experience, that is adverse effect, that is reportable. So all AEs, ADRs, any idea is associated with the drugs, after taking drugs, vaccines, or device using devices. Okay, all these things are reportable. Lab findings, if your blood pressure is shooting up or going down, X-ray report is not showing good, any kind of lab finding is adverse effects which you have to mention. Hypersensitivity reactions after taking the drug interactions, food drug interactions, lack of efficacy, the drug you take it but it is not working. Sometimes even the lack of efficacy becomes serious cases. Serious cases, there are some serious criteria which we learned during the our session. So if lack of efficacy is hitting one of those serious criteria, the case can be serious also. Suspected defects, okay, that comes under some kind of medication errors. Your product is not it's chipping, or the product you took it is actually defective or it is expired. So there can be some defect also, or some medication errors happen, overdose, drug abuse, drug dependency. Okay, all these things, even occupational exposure, off-label use. So you can just tell me that what else left? I can say nothing. After taking medication, anything happen, or if you have even not took medication in the correct way, then those all things are actually reportable. Okay, and then on the right hand side you can see that it is just one form I have captured to show you that how we are, or like patients are reporting and how we are getting the reports. So by the same type of there are different forms available in the market which we learned during our entire course. Okay, so we will do practice sessions, we will do practice cases to fill these forms to understand how the cases actually goes. Okay, how to pick up the information. There are various different types of cases. So that's what we are actually doing entire in the course. Now, I think it's very good time to touch this important topic. That is this an in silo project that is only related to one department, or it is there are different departments? Can I make my career in various departments? I can say that you just enter, and believe me, you have no idea that when is your 10 years or 20 years past, because there are so many different departments that you get completely engaged in it. There are so many different departments. You start your career in one department, you will start moving to the another department, learning and learning and learning, and there is no ending of this learning. This is what PV is actually. So you go with the safety reporting, where you do the literature reporting, solicited cases, spontaneous cases reporting. Different types of cases are there where you do the individual case safety reporting. Then you can do the aggregate reporting, that is a compiled report which go at the defined timelines. Then you can do the PV writing also in the department, where you can selectively write the narratives, where you can do the medical writing, okay, related to the pharmacovigilance. Then you also have the signal teams, where you're detecting the signals, assessment of the signals, prioritization of the signals. RMP, risk management plan, very important, very senior team, which is doing the risk management related work. They are identifying risk, they are mitigating, they are checking the plan for mitigating those risks. Okay, then comes the PV quality or administration type of department, training department. So this is mainly working overall in the PV quality related jobs, like your audits, inspections, trainings, SOPs, PV agreements related to the pharmacovigilance. So that's another important aspect. Okay, then comes the global safety database. So someone who has not only PV knowledge, but a bit about the knowledge related to the database validation and other things. So you can also test your knowledge in that department, so where you can work on the various database related to the pharmacovigilance. Okay, then there is regulatory and QPP support. There are a lot of other softwares related to the regulatory bodies, where you are working on those softwares directly, sending the information to the authority, okay, or getting the acknowledgement, or as a QPPV, which is European specific. If you are supporting the QPPV, that is another different task, which is also comes under the big umbrella of PV. So there are a lot of departments in which you get consumed without any effort, without even thinking where you are going. Okay, where you just want to make your knowledge up and up, and you really get interested in that. This is what actually PV is, and that's why I really love this department. Okay, all right, so this is all about the different departments. Now a very important topic to you, that is related to the career in pharmacovigilance. Okay, so definitely I know that most of you are just waiting for this particular part, so that you can know that why I am actually going for this particular domain, why I want to shift my one domain to this domain, why I want to come in this. Is that really an important career in this domain or not? Okay, so let me unlock some of these things. Okay, so I'm not just putting this topic as a heading. PV is kind of an emerging life science stream. I can provide you some hardcore evidence over here that why PV is an fastest emerging life science stream. First, it is a new domain of life science. It is a very new niche domain of the life science. Okay, you know clinical trial, you know the pharma manufacturing, you know the pharma quality, you know others, research and development, all these things. These are all very much like 50, 60-year old branch. Okay, a highly saturated branch. So whenever you are starting looking in the career and those things, okay, you will always find some difficulty in getting into that particular branch. This PV industry is a very niche, very infant or a child, you can say, in this world at this moment right now, because hardly 1990s when we started getting some regulations of PVs. By the time it reached to the 2010, when most of the countries they started doing some planning of the PV, even India started its own planning in 2010. By the 2020, most of the companies are at the very much niche stage of doing the PVs. They started getting the cases, they started refining their guidelines, all those things. So we are also at this moment also, I'm just want to say that we are not at the saturated end. We are at the very very beginning end, and maybe it will take, as for my understanding, 20 to 30 years to get saturated at least. Okay, at this stage it is just a very much demanding field. Entire drug life cycle, we have already seen that this PV is not going to stop after one phase or the second phase of the drug life cycle. It will just go on and on till the end of the drug life cycle. So your career is not going to stop after 5 or 6 years of the PV project of a certain drug, in case if you are also in one company itself in your entire career. Third important thing is numerous internal departments. We have also seen so many departments are there. So you cannot say that I was on in one department, I get so much bored after 5 years that I just want to change my field. No, you have options to move from one department to the other, to the other, to the other departments. Okay, you have so many options. Yeah, there is one important thing where I would like to stress over here. When you are in the industry, the problem is you just have a learning for hardly few things related to your job responsibilities. Nobody will tell you that what are the other departments in the industry are there at that time. Okay, you will have to hard learn from your own experience. Secondly, no training will be provided at that time. That is something which I can tell you from my own experience also. So by the time you already spent like 5, 10 years, at that time you come to know that at least we come to know these things earlier in my career. I can plan my career in the fast forward way. That is another important thing. No saturation, as I just mentioned, that this particular PV is not department or domain is not going to be saturated in the next 20, 30 years. That is very important thing. Okay, it is very, very much new. Even the European guidelines, they get refined in 2012 or 13. Indian guidelines, the document of pharmacovigilance came in 2018, 2 years, 3 years ago, you can just say. So you can just see that this department is, this domain is very new. Heavy requirement for the job, especially for the newcomers. I can tell you at this moment, not experience only, but the newcomers. Okay, this I can tell you with my good evidence of from my last batch also. Even from the last to last 3, 4 batches we have the same experience, but last batch was wonderful. Okay, reason being that we have almost 100% people imbibed into the PV industry. Last day when I was doing my class, it was I think last person who got the offer. And by the time I actually reached my 50% of my session, half of my session, 50% of the people already get consumed into the PV industry. Because from the day one I started telling that what is important, what is not, how to prepare for the interviews, what question can come or not, where you have to start. So this is something, it's not me only, but our entire BCRI, we start phasing from the day one to the entire market. That is another important thing, because the demand is there, but the skilled people they need, because the company don't want to waste money or put money in doing the trainings and all this thing. They want the persons who can do the PV work from the day one or maybe day 15, because they don't want to spend much time on training. You have to get in production ASAP. Okay, so that is another important part. PV in all countries, very, very important. This is something which can tell you that why I'm putting this stress over here. We all know that India is the outsourcing hub in the entire world. Okay, and the PV is actually required in all the countries. So if the company has a global footprint like Pfizer, GSK, various other companies, Merck, and all those companies, okay, so you have to do the pharmacovigilance for your even a single product for separate different countries, not at just like one team, but you have to create separate teams because you are getting so many cases from one country, from the other country, so you have to go it separate when every country has a bit change in the regulations. So that's why there is so much demand of the new fresher individuals, also so much related to the experienced individuals with 1 or 2 years. There are so many things which I can tell you during the session also. So with these all evidence, I can tell you that, guys, please don't waste your time, at least for now, because it is really in demand at this time. Okay, now this is just to tell you the global market data. You can see the same thing, that is $3.9 billion of 2017-18 time, that is the industry revenue, and it is going to be almost $8 billion. Nothing from my side, this is actually printed in one of the important journals of global market insights and all those. And if I just take you to the picture of this map, you can see that India market is going to be almost more than $520 million in 2024 in the pharmacovigilance. So it is not small, but it is one of the important, domain it is going to be. If I take you on the other side, that is right hand side, you can see that the companies, we all know that clinical trial related PVs and all this thing, the companies mostly keep in the in their in-house. They don't want to outsource much. So that is hardly 10.2%. But you can see that is for PV studies, that is post marketing. It is mostly outsourced, and India is a big hub of it. So 75.2% of the PV business is basically an outsourcing or phase 4 business. And the bottom you can see outsourcing segment revenue is actually $2165 million, very much high. Okay, and it is ever growing every year. So this is all which is as published in the international market as per the data. So you can see that PV is much growing field. Okay, not only this, but let's see with the ADR levels that how it is growing. Okay, the data which is available as per the WHO is limited right now, and as I have just taken from it to show you that ICSRs is growing ever since 1967, when the International Drug Monitoring the center is set up by the WHO. But after the 1990s, you can see that there's a sharp increase in the ADRs, and now the graph is going straight up, similar like our COVID graph in this last 1 or 2 months. And it is still 2012 data. If it is going to be extrapolated, definitely it will go up straight. So these many ADRs every day, every year we are getting, and so many people are required to process this ADR into the database. Okay, and that's why there's so much demanding. If I just go with the Indian system, you can see that the graph is actually going again in the similar fashion, because our in India usually in 2010 the PVPI came. They just planned at that time. In 2018 they published their guideline, but at the same time through the different medical colleges, through the different hospitals, they started getting reports. Until 2015 the data is showing right now, but I just got from one of my colleague who is in the National Pharmacovigilance Center in Ghaziabad. This is almost more than 3 or 4 lakh data they have at this moment in the database at the 2020. So you can see even small, even the country which just started, like India just started its own PV, not the outsourcing work from other country I'm talking about, for India itself, Indian companies, it is going straight up. You believe me, you can't imagine 2020 how many PV companies, like manufacturing companies we have, even for the generic product, they all need to do the pharmacovigilance. Okay, so this is the big question. I hope it is coming to your mind after seeing all this data and everything, that am I ready to come into this PV domain, and what about my knowledge, if I have the enough knowledge, and what about my academic experience, what is my academic background. First question is, if you ask me, okay, this is one of the best field at this moment. Even compared to the clinical trial or any other department. Okay. Second thing about your knowledge, I can just tell you in one line, not because I'm a guide or tutor here, but as a a person who can tell you the best thing, I can tell you one thing, that the company really requires the skilled individuals who can crack the interview easily and who can just get into the system very softly. So that's why the skilled individuals with experience that is required. Third, related to your academia, this is the answer. That is all the life science background. Either you are from pharma background, medicine background, nursing background, clinical research background, biotechnology, microbiology, biochemistry, or any other life science background that is related to the science where you know the body chemistry better, then you are very much welcome to enter into this field. So you can now also see that it is why it is so much demanding, why it is not only restricting to any particular specific stream of study. So if you are from one of this, you're all welcome to enter into this department. Good. So now I'll take your questions in case if it is still coming in your mind as soon as I just finish up the session. We are almost at the end of session. Okay. So the another question or another thing related to the course, that okay fine, Dave, you have told us all this thing. Let me tell you also the course also, okay, so that you can also get more idea. So here in BCRI, we have this entire course created in such a way that we are focusing on not only on one specific parameter, but a 360-degree view that is like domain specific. Every single department we try to cover. Under that also we'll see that what are the subdomain, small things we will try to cover those subunits of the departments. We'll try to go from entire life cycle, that is even from the drug discovery part, refreshing your knowledge till the end, that is related to your PVPI, that is pharmacovigilance plan in India, and then what are the career job opportunities, all those things. Career specific, yes, from the day one we start stressing on your career related things and focus on the practical concepts. We have so many cases we need to do in this entire session. Okay, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 cases easily, and then we have the another the video recording sessions of the entire software where you can easily see that what are how the information is getting filled. So there are many softwares which we are going to do discuss. If I just go with my entire plan, okay, or roadmap of the course, I can say that we go by this way, but this is also again main modules. There are various sub modules which I can't put it up in this only one page. So many things we have to cover. We start with like drug discovery development. We go with the basics, history, then ICSR and A reports. Then we also do many practical cases, narrative writings. Those are all practical aspects. We also do the another tower, that is aggregate reporting, signal management, RMP, and then we understand the PV database in detail, various different types of database available. We also see the medical dictionaries. It's not only one, two, but various medical dictionaries are available. We focus on the quality system because there is not only the specific domains in which maybe you want to imbibe, you can be a part of quality. One or two of our students in the last batch, they actually imbibed in the quality right in the beginning of their career, and I'm so much surprised but very much happy to see that my students are getting imbibed directly into the quality PV quality departments. Okay, that is really required actually experienced individuals. PV in the India worldwide, and there are different regulations which we really need to know for cracking those interviews. And then there are what are the recent developments in India. We also do various discussions throughout the session related to the job opportunities and the careers. At the end, I keep a special module or a discussion session related to the job part so that we can focus more on the job after having an entire session. And at the end, you can see that there is a arrow bar which is showing that throughout the session what we are doing, practical ADR cases we are doing, narrative writings. Okay, so these are all practical part which we are doing throughout the session. Whenever we got time in between, we are actually doing this touch up on those cases also. Okay, and career related discussion is always there. This is just to showcase that this is small screenshots of from my videos or the sessions I'm giving related to the softwares which we are learning, that how the software looks, what are the fields, what are the information which we feel. Okay, so this is basically to give you another positive, and when you are going into the industry you can answer those questions related to the softwares quickly, so that you cannot only show them that you are a newcomer, but you can show them that you are actually an experienced individual. Okay, and last but not least, very important part, as I just mentioned multiple times, that we at the end also and during the entire session we do the career discussion multiple times, that is related to the challenges which you have actually over, which you have and how you can overcome. Okay, because definitely my students are not only coming from one or the two fields, but from various different fields backgrounds, so they have their own different challenges. So how you can actually express yourself when you're going for the interviews. Okay, the job hunts, the list of companies in which you can try. So all this thing is another very important part, which usually the other classes or maybe other courses, I'm not sure, but maybe they are not stressing much. But we are not only, that's why I told you in the beginning that we are not only specific to theoretical but practical plus your career perspectives. Okay, and now it's time to, because you have heard me so much now, maybe it's question coming into your mind that who are you. So I am basically Dev and my qualification is postgraduate in pharma plus postgraduate certified in the clinical research and the pharmacovigilance. I have more than 10 years of experience in core PV domain in pharma, CROs and IT companies. Plus, I have overall experience of more than 15 years in pharma business itself. If you ask me my roles, I played a lot of roles in the company. Okay, different designations. Okay, I started somewhere with the associates, then moved to the team lead, the project leads, and the project managers, program manager, the delivery lead, and also as a client relationship manager, directly dealing with the foreign clients. And then the PV trainer is always on one side with me. So many roles I have played in my career. These are the different departments related to my experience. So I have touched most of the departments which I'm going to teach you. I have already had experience in all these different departments. Okay, so that's why whenever I'm going in any specific department, I'll always tell you the what is the pros, cons, and what how you can go inside easily, or what are the challenges, how many years of experience you need, all these things. So you can see that I have passed most of the departments in my career. That is from the case processing, literature reporting, aggregate, narrative, signal, RMP. Quality is also like last 3-4 years I was there with that as a entire delivery lead. So there were so many team leads, so many different projects I have. QPV support, PV trainer, PV database, all these things. So this is last one is safety database related to the bit IT and PV all together. That is also always on the side, which I'm taking another project in parallel. Okay. Related to the career opportunities, I can say that there is not one, but there are multiple opportunities in pharmacovigilance. You can just see from here that it's not only one bubble, but there are so many bubbles available in front of you as soon as you enter into this department. So there are so many opportunities, so many things are there, but the only thing is, do you have the right experience and the skills? That is the only question which I always say to ask yourself. Okay. Uh, Finally, it's time to wind up the part. So I really appreciate your attention in this entire session. I know, it extended a bit today, but because we have so much good discussion today in between, and so many good students I have in this session. So finally, uh, ready for your questions. Ready for any questions anybody have before I wind up the session. Please feel free to ask whatever it comes to your mind.
Nice.
Yes, Srija.
Yeah. So thank you for the class. I just have one general doubt which I asked. Is it
Srija, sorry.
necessary from a medical coding if you want to work in a con? Can you hear me, sir?
Sorry, Shrija, I tried to get what you want to say, but I'm not getting clearly. It's some medical coding I heard. Can you just repeat again with a clearly?
Yes, sure. Is it necessary to know medical coding to work in pharmacovigilance department?
No, 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 no.
Does it
Not
go
at all.
hand in hand? No.
No, 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 no. Not
Okay.
at all. You just need to know some dictionaries and some information related to some of the dictionaries, the medical dictionaries. Okay, that's
Okay.
all, which I'm going to teach you within a one session, that what you need to know and what you need to answer if it is the question comes to you. That's
Okay.
what
So
is
that
the important. Sorry, go ahead.
no, is it an added advantage when we are going for a job which is related to this
That is
pharmacovigilance,
that is
or
that
is
is
it not related at all?
No, no, that is an added advantage. Yes, that is an added
Oh,
advantage when you are going for a job. Not that you have to have experience on a medical dictionary, but you have to have a knowledge about that particular dictionaries and other things so that you can answer some of the questions. Like if it is asked that do you know this thing, you can say yes, I have experience on this thing. Not only know, but I have experience, because when I'm going to train you, is going to be trained in such a way that I will tell you the questions which it can be asked to you. And believe me, last time when some of my individuals, they told me the question, they told me that exactly similar questions came to. Because I told them the questions which I have personally taken in my last 10-15 years of experience. So that's how I know that, what questions can come in between the lines. Okay, anybody else? Any other questions?
thanks a lot.
Okay, Srija, thank you. Anybody else, guys? Yes, you may be from the other background. Okay, I think chat box is coming up. Allow me one second. Lata, after the course, what will can take part-time job after PV? Can we take part-time? Not only part-time job. Lata, the question maybe it's for others also, guys. The Lata is asking that can we take a part-time job after PV? Uh, uh, After PV, if I'm correct, Lata, understanding that you are doing your PV job and you can parallelly do some part-time work also. The answer is that you can do with any of the job in your career, okay, until unless the company has some restrictions, NOCs and other things with you. That is depends on company to company. But related to field, it is same like others. If the company has no problem, then yes, you can do your work and you can do your part-time jobs also. It is all depends on you. Okay, that is something like which is not related to only PV but others also. And Lata, in case if your question, I'm just taking the question other side also, because this question is written in such a way. If your question is like, can we get as soon as possible the part-time jobs after doing PV, my answer is not only part-time job, but guys, as I just mentioned, my last batch, all of them get consumed by big companies with a very good pay offers, believe me. So it's not part-time but full-time job. So if it is right related to that, the question is okay. Any other question? Anybody? What is the prospective in US, or it is closed? No, the answer is first of all, if you are talking about India itself, that is with the different clients, I can tell you that most of the work related to PV we are doing here in India is for the outsourcing work. That is in Indian PV itself, you have not much job and other things, because it is just a very much at the beginning stage in Indian companies. But when you are getting consumed by the big companies, okay, and itself the pharma companies, then you are actually doing the PV mostly for the US, EU, Japan, Australia, or Germany, or other different countries. Okay, you get the guidelines, you get the understanding that what you need to do. But the thing is, whatever the country use, you got it, the basics is same. That is what we are going to learn in this course. Santosh, I'm not yet graduate. Okay, Santosh, in which year you are? And in meanwhile, I think Lata, you have also written, one second, is this certification, one second. Okay, Santosh, you have written, I think fast chat came up, allow me just a minute. What is prospective? Okay, and Lata, you have read, is this certification valid there too? See, certification, first of all, the validity of certification is in the whole world because the BCRI is a reputed institute. That is first thing. Second thing, you have to actually prove your own skills rather than certification. That is something which I can tell you right now. When you are on the interview table, they don't want to see your much certification because you are already bachelor or graduate or maybe master's graduate. That is more than enough. But the answers which you are going to like put up is as per your own experience, your own skills which you have grabbed during this entire certification course. So that is what important. Okay, certification itself, they will not like tell you that it is from this company or that company. The main thing is, are you certified with the correct experience or not, or with the correct skills or not? That is something which I can tell you. But it is definitely valid everywhere. This is a from very reputed institute, that I can tell you at the very first moment. I am not graduate. Okay, B Farm final year. So Santosh, first of all, I can tell you that boss, you are at the very right moment. Okay, or anybody else also at the moment where you are just at the final year. As like very much important thing which I would like to tell you, that please do it ASAP, this type of course. Reason being that you are actually at the right time grabbing all those certifications and getting this knowledge, because as soon as you get passed out, there is much demand even for the very much freshers who are coming out every year. Okay, so you get easily get into inside, but with the better package than the others. That is what I can tell you, Santosh. If you can spare your time, please get these things done in parallel. You're at the very good stage. Okay. Anybody else?
Sir,
You
hello.
are in Sweden. So just allow me, Shukur, 1 second. Okay, I'm just
Okay,
coming
sir.
to Reshma's question. I'm just getting also on the chat box in parallel. Can I work in Sweden with this course? See, you can work, as I just mentioned for the Lata, you can work in Sweden, US, or anywhere. Okay, I have, I think, last to last year, last batch, if I'm remember correctly, there were the ladies, I think one or two ladies from the US who got this course done in parallel. Okay, as much as my experience is, I'm also telling them about like the US market and all those things. But yes, in the Sweden also you can get the certification, like it is certified everywhere in the world. It is nothing like that. But as I just mentioned for Lata, the same thing, Reshma, for you, that once you are in the company in Sweden, okay, interviewing for it, they will not that this particular certification matter, okay, that you are certified. But the company and the other things, it is more than that. What matter is your experience, the answer you speak up related to the PV. That will show that you are actually experienced individual in PV. You have a good idea about the pharmacovigilance. That is what I can tell you. Okay.
Sir, my question is,
Yes, Shukur. Yes, Shukur. Now I will.
we can go to other countries regarding PV job.
Shukur, can you repeat one more time your question?
Sir, through PV, we can go to other countries while doing different type of sectors in clinical sector.
Yes, you can. It is not restricting you anywhere. Anyway, you can. It is actually an extra additional advantage. See, as I just mentioned, I am experienced in clinical trial also. I'm experienced in PV also. But my personal like handy experience is more in PV. But if you ask me for the clinical trial, I can also go for that. Okay. So it all matters that how good you can answer in any country where you go. Yes. Sorry. Any other question? If I missed any of you guys, please feel free to ask. So I know, guys, we are going like a bit more than whatever the expected timelines. But sorry, I think something is also waiting for me. Message in chat box. Just allow me 1 second. So I'm leaving. My kid got up. Sorry. Okay, no issues. I think Lata left already. It's okay. So guys, I know that you all are busy today. Is Saturday. Maybe you have some other reservations, but just like bear with me 5 more minutes. Maybe the others have the question. I will just answer the rest. In case if you are really urgent, you can also leave. No issues because we have already completed. Let me take the questions if anybody else. Do we need to know Microsoft skills for PV? Shri Vidya. Okay, if I'm sorry, I'm taking correctly your name. The answer is you have to know the basic skill. Okay, nothing much. You don't have to work on Excel or Word until unless you are in the quality PV quality or something else which is not related much to the very much to the PV. If you are in the PV, you have the separate database. That is what we are going to show you. I am going to show you in the video lectures and all that how the cases is actually feeding up and all those things. Otherwise, you just need a basic skills in case if there is any other work comes to your end that can you open the word page and see bold or letters. That's it. You don't need to do further things. Okay, we are not in the IT company. We are doing just a pharma related work, PV work basically. Don't worry about that Microsoft skills much. Okay, you just need to work on directly on few database, that is like fields coming up like how we are filling up our Aadhaar and other forms, similar like that, but not much than that. Is there any age limitations for the job? I graduated in 2011. Nope, no age limitation. See, answer is for the skilled individuals, there is no age limitation at all in any sector anywhere. First. So Swati, if you graduated in 2011, I hope that you also have handy experience in some other things. Okay, in parallel, you are actually an experienced individual. So if you don't mind, can I ask you that what other experience you have apart from it? Is since you graduated in 2011. Okay. Um, I'm not sure. I'm not getting answer reply, but my answer is just that the age limitation is not there. Okay, this is not like our banking job or other jobs. You have to just showcase your skills, your answer to crack, and your way to connect your previous experience with this one. That is what we are actually I'm telling with my other students also who are experienced in other things, that how you can club those experience. You can show that why I want to opt for PV, and I can show that my experience is very much valid. You can consider the same in the PV so that you can give me the better package. That is what I used to tell. Okay, I'm from Ayurveda background. Believe me, I have so many BHMS doctors also previously, so you can easily connect those things in the hospitals. Perfectly fine, no issues with that. You can easily show your experience and say that yeah, I can show that I am interested in this particular field, and because of this my experience, I can answer any questions related to the PV. Great, Swati. So answer is yes, no age limitations is there. Okay. Anybody else? Any questions? Bindu, I think your mic is not muted. So do you have any? Okay. Any other questions? Anybody? Or I think I have answered all the questions. Let me just browse through. But guys, really, this batch is very active, and I am super happy, to see all of you guys. Uh, and as I have just put up, I think my last slide, I just went up that our new batch is getting active soon. I just got the date. It is actually 22nd of April. We are going to live our new batch. My suggestion to all of you, whoever already left and want to touch back in the class, and whoever are right now, that please take your decision as soon as possible. Reason being that if you guys are with me from the beginning, that would be really great. Okay, because we touch all the aspects from the beginning. Okay, don't get late in getting into this class. So that would be really good for you so that you can connect all the dots till the end. Do not miss anything. So that is my important request to all of you. And if you are really interested, please get connect to my team. Very good, very charming team. Okay, they will help you right away about all this thing. And I want to see you in my new batch from the beginning, from the day one. Okay, if you have any questions, the team members are also there on the line. Okay, so you can connect with Pankaj, Sridhar, okay, anytime, and they will answer your other questions. You can also have any other PV questions via them to me. I will definitely answer that also. In the meantime, anytime you can connect with through them to me. Okay, and related to the course, again, it is 22nd. I got the time. That is let's say that is evening time. We are actually keeping the class 8 to 9 p.m. Considering that you might have working, you maybe are working individuals, so you can all attend the session. That is the best thing we have about the class timings too. All right, so that's all from my end. And if you have no further question, I think we can wrap up. So Pankaj, Sridhar, over to you now. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Dev. Thanks for your valuable session. Hope you have given complete information, Dev.
Thank you. So, Sridhar and Pankaj, in case if you got any other questions related to PV from anybody, please feel free to connect with me and I will answer from my side. Okay. Are the classes, okay, there is one question from Srija. Are the classes weekend sessions? No, this is actually, currently we have the weekday session from Monday to Friday, that is 8 to 9 p.m. Until unless there is any specific requirement that we have, then only I will ask them to connect on Saturday also. But this is usually not happening. So we usually have the weekday sessions. Okay. So rest, if you have any other further question also, Shrija and others, guys, please connect with my team directly. Okay. All right.
Yeah, thanks all. Thanks, Dev. Thanks, one and all. And definitely, we will be sharing this recording to everybody. And any doubts, please feel free to reach us for any further queries. We will help you out. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for having this.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Dev. Thanks, Pankaj. Thanks, Tron and all, for making the session so interactive. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good day to all of you.